what would it be like to live a full day with every heart-pounding, claw-sharpening hour side by side the smartest, fastest killers of the dinosaur world? In this video, we break down a day in the life, 24 hours with Velociraptors. Darkness blankets the ancient landscape. 75 million years ago, in what will one day become the Gobi Desert of Mongolia, the night air carries a chill that cuts through even the densest covering of feathers. Stars wheel overhead in patterns no human eye will ever witness. The moon hangs low on the horizon, casting silver light across a terrain of sand dunes, scattered vegetation, and rocky outcrops. This is the late Cretaceous period, a world ruled by creatures beyond imagination. Somewhere in the shadows, curled beneath an overhanging rock, a predator stirs. Her name, millions of years in the future, will be Velociraptor, meaning swift thief. But tonight, she is simply alive, alert and hungry. Her body, roughly the size of a modern turkey, is covered in a coat of primitive feathers that helped regulate her temperature through the cold desert night. Her arms, folded against her chest, bear longer plumage, remnants of an evolutionary experiment that would one day lead to true flight in her distant relatives. The Velociraptor shifts, her large eyes adjusting to the pre-dawn gloom. Those eyes, positioned on the sides of her skull but angled forward, grant her excellent binocular vision, crucial for judging distances when striking at prey. Her pupils dilate, drinking in every photon of available light. In the world of the Cretaceous, dawn and dusk are the hours of opportunity. The great heat of the day sends most creatures into shade and stillness. The bitter cold of full night makes hunting difficult. But these liminal hours when light and darkness meet belong to the swift and the cunning. She is not alone. Around her, two other shapes begin to move. Her packmates, siblings from the same clutch, hatched 3 years prior. Together, they have survived drought and flood, predators larger than themselves, and the constant pressure of finding enough food to fuel their high metabolisms. Velociraptors are warm-blooded, or at least something close to it. Their bodies burn energy at rates far exceeding the cold-blooded lizards that share their world. This metabolic fire grants them speed and endurance that other reptiles cannot match. But it also means they must eat frequently and well. The dominant female rises first. She stretches, extending her neck and fanning her arm feathers in a display that catches the faint light. Her body is lean, muscular, built for explosive bursts of speed and devastating strikes. From snout to tail tip, she measures roughly 6 feet, though much of that length is the stiff, rod-like tail that serves as a counterbalance when she runs. Her weight hovers around 30 pounds, a compact package of muscle, sinew, and lethal intent. Her most distinctive features are her feet. Each hind limb terminates in 4 toes, but one toe stands apart from the others. The second toe on each foot bears an enlarged, curved claw, roughly 3 inches long and wickedly sharp. This sickle claw is held off the ground when the Velociraptor walks, keeping its killing edge honed and ready. When she strikes, this claw can slash through flesh with surgical precision or pin struggling prey to the ground, while her jaws deliver the finishing blow. The other 2 pack members stir, shaking off the torpor of sleep. One is male, slightly smaller than the female, his feathers displaying subtle differences in coloration that might play a role in future mating displays. The third is another female, younger and more cautious, still learning the complex dynamics of cooperative hunting. Together, they form a hunting unit, a family bound by blood and necessity in a world where isolation often means death. The eastern horizon begins to glow. Pale yellows and soft oranges bleed into the darkness, announcing the imminent arrival of the sun. The velociraptors emerge from their shelter, their movements cautious but purposeful. The first task of any day is reconnaissance. What has changed since yesterday? What new dangers lurk in familiar territory? What opportunities might the night have delivered? The dominant female leads the way, her head held low, her body moving in that distinctive dinosaurian gait, a rolling motion driven by powerful leg muscles. Each step is deliberate, testing the ground, scanning for threats. Her nostrils flare, sampling the morning air. The olfactory centers of her brain are well developed, capable of detecting scent trails left by potential prey or dangerous predators. The air carries information. The musty smell of a recently passed herd of Protoceratops, the sharp tang on the vegetation crushed by heavy feet, the distant decay of something dead. Death in the Cretaceous is opportunity. The velociraptors are not pure predators. They are opportunists, willing to scavenge when hunting proves difficult. The desert environment of late Cretaceous Mongolia is harsh and unforgiving. Food cannot be wasted. Energy cannot be squandered on pride. If something is dead and edible, it will be eaten. The pack moves in loose formation, each member maintaining visual contact with the others while covering as much ground as possible. Communication flows between them through subtle vocalizations, chirps and clicks and low warbling sounds that carry meaning lost to human ears. Body language supplements these calls. The angle of a tail, the position of arm feathers, the tilt of a head, all convey information about mood, intention, and perceived threats. They are heading toward a dry riverbed, a seasonal watercourse that flows only during rare rains, but serves as a highway through the landscape year-round. Many creatures use these ancient paths, and where prey travels, predators follow. The sand here is softer, marked with the tracks of creatures that passed during the night. The dominant female pauses, lowering her snout to examine a particular set of prints. Protoceratops, a small ceratopsian, roughly the size of a sheep, armored with a bony frill and a powerful beak. These creatures are common in this environment, browsing on the tough vegetation that manages to survive in the arid conditions. They are also dangerous prey. That beak can deliver crushing bites, and even a modest Protoceratops outweighs a Velociraptor by a significant margin. But they are slow, and they are abundant, and a pack working together can bring one down. The tracks are fresh, perhaps only hours old. The female follows them with her eyes, reading the story they tell. A lone individual, medium-sized, moving at a steady pace. No signs of alarm or flight. It was not aware of any predators when it passed this way. The direction is promising, heading toward a cluster of rocks where Protoceratops often shelter during the heat of the day. She calls to her packmates, a low, interrogative sound. They gather around her, examining the tracks themselves, their minds processing the same information through slightly different filters. A silent consensus forms. This is worth pursuing. The hunt begins. Hunting is not simply about speed and violence. It is about patience, strategy, and understanding the behavior of prey. The Velociraptors have spent their entire lives learning how Protoceratops think, how they react to threats, where they go when frightened. This knowledge, passed down through generations and refined through personal experience, is as much a weapon as their claws and teeth. The pack spreads out, moving parallel to the tracks, but at different distances. The dominant female takes the center position directly on the trail. The male moves to the left, keeping to higher ground where possible. The younger female circles wide to the right, her path taking her through a stand of low, scrubby plants that provide cover. When they find their quarry, they will converge from multiple directions, cutting off escape routes and dividing the prey's attention. The sun climbs higher, its warmth beginning to penetrate the morning chill. This is a double-edged blade. The light makes it easier to spot prey, but also makes it easier for prey to spot predators. The increasing heat will soon drive most creatures into shade, reducing hunting opportunities. Speed becomes important now, not the explosive sprint of the final attack, but the steady, ground-covering pace of predators who know that time is against them. The dominant female's senses are fully engaged. Her eyes scan the landscape constantly, alert for any movement that might indicate prey or threat. Her ears, hidden beneath feathers but still functional, rotate independently, triangulating sounds. A distant call from a pterosaur, the scrabbling of small mammals in the underbrush, the whisper of wind across sand. She filters these sounds automatically, searching for the one sound that matters, the shuffling gait of a protoceratops. Minutes stretch into an hour. The tracks remain fresh, the story they tell unchanged. The prey is not far ahead, perhaps around the next rocky outcrop, perhaps in the shade of that distant cliff. The pack continues, their breathing controlled, their movements economical. Every calorie spent on the approach is a calorie that must be recovered from the kill. Evolution has taught them to be efficient, to invest only what is necessary, to save their strength for the moment when strength will decide everything. Then movement. A flash of motion near a cluster of boulders. The dominant female freezes, her body going rigid, her tail extending straight back for balance. The male and younger female, responding to her sudden stillness, halt in their tracks. 3 pairs of eyes focus on the same point. 3 minds process the same visual information. A protoceratops, alone, feeding on a patch of tough, fibrous plants that have taken root in a crack between the rocks. It is exactly where the tracks predicted it would be. The morning has delivered its first opportunity. The protoceratops is unaware of the danger closing in. Its attention is focused on the tedious process of stripping vegetation, its beak working methodically through the fibrous material. Like all ceratopsians, it is a bulk feeder, consuming large quantities of low-quality food to meet its nutritional needs. This feeding behavior requires concentration and time, which creates vulnerability. The dominant female begins to move, her approach now shifting from a ground-covering walk to a stalking crouch. Her body lowers, her center of gravity dropping to reduce her profile. Her feathers flatten against her body, minimizing any flash of motion that might catch her prey's peripheral vision. She moves during the moments when the protoceratops' head is down, freezing when it looks up. The male has taken position on higher ground, blocking the most obvious escape route. His role in the initial attack is to herd, to push the prey toward his packmates when it flees. The younger female has completed her flanking maneuver, positioned on the opposite side of the prey from the dominant female. When the attack comes, the protoceratops will find itself surrounded on 3 sides with only one direction of retreat, straight toward the male. Distance closes, 50 feet, 40, 30. At 20 feet, the protoceratops finally senses something wrong. Perhaps a sound carries on the wind. Perhaps it catches a glimpse of movement from the corner of its eye. Perhaps some ancient instinct, honed through millions of years of being prey, finally triggers an alarm. Whatever the cause, its head snaps up, its body tensing for flight. Too late. The dominant female launches herself forward in an explosion of speed. Her powerful hind legs drive her across the sand, her tail swinging to maintain balance through the rapid changes of direction. In the space of 2 heartbeats, she closes the remaining distance. The Protoceratops wheels, attempting to face this threat with its armored frill and dangerous beak. It bellows, a sound of alarm and challenge, but the vocalization is cut short as the Velociraptor strikes. She does not aim for the throat or the back. Instead, she targets the hindquarters, her sickle claws seeking the soft flesh of the thighs. This is not an instant kill. Velociraptors are not large enough to bring down prey through brute force alone. Instead, they employ a strategy of attrition. Those sickle claws, slashing through muscle and tendon, compromise their victim's ability to flee or fight. The Protoceratops screams, pivoting to snap at its attacker. Its beak catches empty air. The Velociraptor has already danced away, circling, looking for another opening. The younger female arrives, adding her weight to the attack. She targets the opposite flank, her claws opening the parallel wounds that send the blood streaming down the Protoceratops' legs. The prey is now caught between two attackers, unable to face both at once. It lunges toward the younger female, but she retreats, drawing it forward, away from the rocks where it might have mounted a more effective defense. The male descends from his position, cutting off the Protoceratops' escape route. The prey finds itself surrounded, bleeding from multiple wounds, its movements already beginning to slow as blood loss takes its toll. The dominant female circles, watching, waiting. She reads the prey's failing strength in the way it stumbles, the way its lunges grow shorter and less coordinated. The moment is approaching. She strikes again, this time going for the neck. Her jaws close around the throat, her teeth sinking deep into flesh. She is not strong enough to crush the windpipe through brute force, but she does not need to. She simply holds on, her claws anchoring her to the prey's body, letting its own struggles exhaust its remaining strength. The other two packmates continue their attacks, wearing the Protoceratops down from both sides. The end, when it comes, is not sudden. The Protoceratops sags, its legs buckling, its struggles weakening. The dominant female maintains her grip, riding the prey down as it collapses onto its side. A few final tremors run through its body, then stillness. The hunt is over. Silence settles over the killing ground. The three Velociraptors stand over their prey, their bodies still tense, adrenaline still coursing through their systems. The dominant female releases her grip on the throat, stepping back to survey their work. Her breathing is rapid but controlled. Blood stains her snout and chest, matting her feathers into dark clumps. But there is no time for rest. The kill is not the end of the process. It is merely a transition from one challenge to another. A dead Protoceratops represents hundreds of meals for creatures like Velociraptors. In the Cretaceous ecosystem, nothing stays hidden for long. Scavengers will already be converging on the scent of blood. Larger predators may investigate. The pack must eat quickly, taking what they can before competition arrives. The dominant female asserts her privilege of rank. She feeds first, tearing into the soft flesh of the belly where the skin is thinnest. Her teeth, curved backward like tiny serrated knives, are designed for gripping and tearing rather than chewing. She does not masticate her food. Instead, she rips off manageable chunks and swallows them whole, her throat distending to accommodate each morsel. Her stomach, highly acidic, will handle the process of breaking down the meat. The male and younger female wait their turn, watching the surrounding landscape for threats while their leader feeds. This is not resentment. This is social order, the structure that allows the pack to function as a unit. The dominant female earned her position through strength, experience, and the countless decisions she has made that kept the group alive. She eats first because her survival is most crucial to the pack's continued success. After several minutes, she steps back, allowing the male to approach. He feeds quickly, efficiently, filling his belly with as much meat as he can consume. The younger female comes last, finding plenty remaining despite the efforts of her packmates. A Protoceratops provides more food than 3 velociraptors can eat in a single sitting. But they gorge themselves anyway, knowing that hunger is always closer than it seems. While they feed, other creatures begin to investigate. Small mammals, nocturnal foragers caught out by the dawn, creep closer, attracted by the blood scent. Tiny dinosaurs, no larger than chickens, dart between rocks, waiting for a chance to steal scraps. A pterosaur wheels overhead, its sharp eyes assessing the situation. For now, the velociraptors are numerous enough and alert enough to deter any scavengers, but that will not last forever. The dominant female's belly swells with her meal, her body already beginning the process of digestion. She moves away from the carcass, finding a patch of shade near the rocks. The heat of the day is building now, the sun climbing toward its zenith. The desert is transforming from a cool hunting ground into a blazing furnace. Activity must decrease. Energy must be conserved. The feast has provided fuel. Now comes the time to let that fuel be processed. The midday sun transforms the landscape into an alien world of heat, shimmer, and baking rock. Temperatures soar past what any modern animal would consider tolerable. The sand becomes hot enough to burn flesh. The air shimmers and dances, playing tricks on the eyes of any creature foolish enough to be abroad. This is the Cretaceous desert at its most merciless, a crucible that tests every creature's ability to survive. The velociraptors are not foolish. They have retreated to shade, finding a rocky overhang that offers protection from the direct sun. The overhang faces north, maximizing shade coverage throughout the day. Previous generations discovered this shelter, and the knowledge has been passed down through observation and imitation. Young velociraptors learn where to hide from the heat by watching their elders. Those who fail to learn, those who remain exposed too long, simply do not survive to pass on their ignorance. Here, in the relative cool, they rest. Their breathing slows. Their eyes grow heavy. The frantic activity of the morning hunt gives way to a state of torpor, not quite sleep, but something close to it. Their bodies are working overtime, processing the large meal, converting protein and fat into energy and tissue. The digestive process generates its own heat, which would be dangerous if combined with external warming. But in the shade, this metabolic warmth is tolerable, even beneficial. The dominant female's feathers serve multiple functions during these resting hours. They trap a layer of air against her skin, providing insulation that works in both directions. During the cold night, this insulation retains body heat. During the hot day, it slows the absorption of external heat. The feathers can also be adjusted, raised to allow heat to escape when temperatures become dangerous, flattened to conserve warmth when needed. This thermoregulatory flexibility is one of the reasons velociraptors and their relatives have been so successful in environments that would kill less adaptable creatures. This is the rhythm of life in the desert. Activity at dawn and dusk, rest during the killing heat of midday and the deep cold of night. Creatures that violate this rhythm rarely survive long. The environment is unforgiving, selecting ruthlessly against those who waste energy or expose themselves to temperature extremes. Even at rest, the pack maintains vigilance. One member always remains slightly more alert than the others, ears pricked, eyes partially open. They rotate this duty without conscious thought, each taking a turn while the others recover more fully. This distributed awareness is another survival adaptation. A completely unconscious pack is a vulnerable pack. A completely conscious pack is an exhausted pack. The middle way preserves both energy and safety. The hours pass slowly. The sun traces its arc across the sky, pouring radiation down on a world that seems to hold its breath. Nothing moves in the visible landscape. Even the pterosaurs that usually patrol the skies have sought shelter. Life continues, but it continues in the shadows, in burrows, under rocks, anywhere that provides respite from the relentless heat. The dominant female's dreams, if velociraptors dream, might be filled with running and hunting, with the sounds of struggle and the taste of blood. The neural pathways that fire during actual hunts may fire again during rest, reinforcing the connections, strengthening the skills that mean survival. Or perhaps she does not dream at all. Perhaps her rest is simply darkness and silence, a temporary absence of consciousness that allows her body to repair and regenerate. The afternoon heat begins to break. The sun, though still fierce, has passed its zenith and begun its descent toward the western horizon. Shadows lengthen. The temperature, while still oppressive, drops from unbearable to merely uncomfortable. Life begins to stir. The dominant female wakes fully, rising from her resting position to stretch muscles stiffened by hours of immobility. Her movements are slower than they were in the morning, still weighed down by the large meal digesting in her belly. But alertness returns quickly, driven by the same survival instincts that have kept her alive for 3 years. She moves to the edge of the overhang, surveying the landscape with renewed attention. The world has changed since morning. The carcass of the Protoceratops, visible in the distance, has attracted attention. Several small theropods are picking at what remains, squabbling over scraps. A larger shape moves in the farther distance, too far away to identify clearly, but large enough to warrant caution. This is the time for a decision. The pack could attempt to reclaim their kill, driving off the scavengers and taking another meal from the remaining flesh. Or they could explore new territory, seeking other opportunities now that their immediate hunger is satisfied. Or they could simply wait, conserving energy, trusting that tomorrow will bring new hunts and new chances. The dominant female chooses exploration. The meal they consumed this morning was substantial. Another feeding from the same carcass would be possible, but not necessary. Better to use the cooler afternoon hours to patrol their territory, to gather information about what has changed, to prepare for whatever tomorrow might bring. She calls to her packmates, a low melodic sound that carries a clear meaning: movement. The male and younger female rise, shaking off sleep, readying themselves to follow. Within minutes, the pack is on the move again, leaving their resting spot behind, heading into the lengthening shadows of the afternoon. A velociraptor's territory is not a fixed thing with defined borders. It is more like a network of paths and resources, hunting grounds, and shelter sites connected by routes that shift with the seasons and circumstances. The afternoon patrol serves to reinforce this network, to check on critical locations, to refresh knowledge that might have become outdated. The pack moves through familiar landscape, their passage marked by scent and scratch. The dominant female pauses at key points to urinate, leaving chemical signals that announce her presence to any creature that passes this way. These signals convey information: species, sex, health status, reproductive condition. They warn potential competitors that this territory is claimed. They inform potential mates that opportunities exist. They tell the story of who she is and where she has been. The male adds his own marks at different locations, supplementing but not overwriting the female's signals. The pack's scent profile is complex, layered, telling a story of social structure and hierarchy. Other velociraptors who encounter these marks will understand that they are entering claimed territory, that the inhabitants are healthy and numerous, that challenge would be risky. Along the patrol route, the pack encounters evidence of other creatures' activities. A nest site, abandoned now but recently occupied by some small reptile. A watering hole, nearly dry but still holding enough moisture to attract visitors. Tracks in the sand telling of passages made hours or days ago. Each piece of information is catalogued, processed, stored for future reference. The dominant female leads the group toward a rocky prominence that offers a commanding view of the surrounding terrain. From this vantage point, she can see the entire local landscape spread out beneath her. The dry riverbed where they hunted this morning. The cluster of rocks where the Protoceratops was taken. The distant mountains that mark the edge of their known world. Motion catches her attention. Something is moving near the riverbed, following the same ancient pathway the pack used this morning. Her eyes narrow, focusing on the distant shapes, multiple figures, moving with the distinctive gait of dinosaurs, heading in the general direction of the pack's position, not prey. The shapes are wrong for Protoceratops or any other herbivore. These are bipeds, moving quickly, their heads held low. Other predators, other velociraptors. Rival velociraptors represent a complex challenge. They are not prey to be hunted or simple predators to be avoided. They are competitors, entities that seek the same resources, occupies the same ecological niche, follow the same survival strategies. Sometimes rivals can be ignored, their paths passing without conflict. Sometimes they must be confronted, their presence challenged before they can establish claims on valuable territory. The approaching group is smaller than the dominant female's pack, two individuals moving together with the coordination of siblings or long-term partners. They have not yet spotted the pack observing them from the rocky prominence. They are following a scent trail, perhaps the morning's hunt, perhaps the territorial marks left during the patrol. Whatever the cause, their current heading will bring them deep into claimed territory. The dominant female makes another decision. Confrontation. Not attack, necessarily, but demonstration. The rivals must know that this territory is occupied, that its inhabitants are alert and ready to defend their claims. If this can be accomplished without violence, so much the better. Fights between velociraptors are dangerous for both sides. Wounds become infected, injuries slow hunters and make them vulnerable to larger predators. Death is always possible, even probable, when creatures of equal capability clash. The evolutionary calculus of territorial defense is complex. A territory that cannot be defended is worthless, but a territory defended too aggressively can cost more than it provides. The dominant female has learned through experience where this balance lies. She has seen rivals driven off through display alone. She has seen fights that ended with both participants wounded, their territories meaningless because neither could hunt effectively. She has learned that the appearance of strength is often more valuable than actual combat. Her display will be carefully calibrated, enough aggression to be taken seriously, enough restraint to leave room for the rivals to retreat with dignity. The goal is not to destroy these interlopers, but to convince them that easier opportunities exist elsewhere. In the vast Cretaceous landscape, there is room for many velociraptors. The deserts and scrublands of Mongolia support populations that rarely interact, each group occupying its own network of hunting grounds and shelters. Only where territories overlap does conflict become necessary. She leads her pack down from the prominence, circling to intercept the rival's path. The male and younger female spread out, assuming the same formation they used this morning during the hunt. But the purpose now is not to kill, it is to intimidate. 3 against 2 is a significant advantage. If the rivals are rational, they will retreat rather than risk a battle they cannot win. The encounter happens in a clearing between 2 dune crests. The dominant female emerges from cover first, her body held high, her arm feathers spread in a display of size and aggression. Her throat produces a sound somewhere between a growl and a chirp, a vocalization that carries unmistakable meaning. Warning. The rivals halt, startled by the sudden appearance of opposition. They are a bonded pair, male and female, young adults probably seeking to establish their own territory. They are thin, showing signs of recent hunger, driven perhaps by desperation to push into claimed grounds. Their eyes dart between the dominant female and her packmates, calculating odds, assessing threats. For a long moment, the two groups face each other across the clearing. Tension crackles in the air. The dominant female maintains her aggressive posture, unwilling to show any weakness that might encourage the rivals to test her. Her packmates hold their positions, silent, ready. Then, slowly, the rival pair begins to retreat. They move backward, maintaining eye contact, unwilling to turn their backs on potential attackers. Their retreat is dignified, unhurried, but it is retreat nonetheless. They have recognized the odds and made the rational choice. Within minutes, they have disappeared over a dune crest, their shapes swallowed by the lengthening shadows. The dominant female relaxes slightly, though true relaxation will not come until the rivals are far away. She calls to her pack, a sound of acknowledgement rather than celebration. The confrontation is over. The territory remains secure. But she knows, with the certainty of long experience, that the rivals will return. Perhaps not tomorrow, perhaps not next week, but eventually, when they are stronger or more desperate, they will test these boundaries again. The struggle for survival never truly ends. The confrontation has cost time and energy, both valuable commodities in the Cretaceous desert. But the day is not yet over. The evening hours, like the dawn, offer hunting opportunities that the pack cannot afford to waste. The morning's meal has been substantially digested. Hunger, never far away for creatures with such high metabolisms, is beginning to reassert itself. The dominant female leads the pack toward a different hunting ground, a region of scattered vegetation where smaller prey often congregates in the cooler evening hours. The Protoceratops are not their only food source. Lizards, early mammals, small dinosaurs, and even large insects all contribute to the Velociraptor diet. These smaller prey are less dangerous than Protoceratops, but also less rewarding. More hunts are required to obtain the same caloric return. But variety is important. Different prey provides different nutrients, and multiple small meals can substitute for one large one when circumstances require. The hunting strategy shifts to match the prey. Instead of the coordinated approach and attack used against the Protoceratops, the pack spreads out, each member working independently, covering more ground, flushing potential prey from hiding spots. Small creatures that might escape one predator cannot escape three. A lizard that bolts from the dominant female's approach runs directly into the path of the younger female. A mammal that freezes when it senses danger finds itself surrounded before it can react. The evening hunt is a series of small victories. A lizard here, a mammal there, an unwary hatchling caught far from its nest. None of these catches is substantial, but together they add up. The pack members share information through their vocalizations, alerting each other to good hunting spots, warning of potential dangers, coordinating their sweeping pattern to maximize efficiency. As the sun touches the western horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, the dominant female pauses to consume a particularly successful catch, a small theropod dinosaur no larger than a pigeon. Her teeth make quick work of the tiny body, feathers and all. The bones crunch between her jaws, releasing their marrow. Every calorie must be extracted. Every bit of nutrition must be claimed. The transition from day to night is a dangerous time. Predators who hunt by daylight are making their last attempts. Predators who hunt by darkness are beginning to emerge. Visibility decreases, making it harder to spot threats before they are too close to avoid. The pack must balance the desire to continue hunting against the need to find secure shelter for the coming night. The dominant female begins leading her pack toward familiar sleeping grounds, a network of rocky outcrops that provides protection from both predators and weather. The route takes them through increasingly familiar territory, past landmarks burned into their memories through countless repetitions. A distinctive boulder, a dead tree, its branches bleached white by the sun, a particular arrangement of rocks that marks a reliable water seep. Along the way, they encounter evidence of the day's drama playing out elsewhere. The carcass of the morning's Protoceratops is now reduced to scattered bones and scraps, picked clean by the scavengers who claimed it after the pack departed. The tracks of many creatures cross and recross the area, telling stories of competition and confrontation over the dwindling resource. Other creatures are visible in the twilight, shapes moving through the shadows with purposes of their own. A small herd of Protoceratops, different from the morning's prey, clusters near the rocks where they will spend the night. They watch the Velociraptors pass, their eyes gleaming in the fading light, their bodies tense with the awareness that predators are near. But the pack shows no interest. The morning hunt was successful. The evening foraging was productive. Hunger is satisfied for now. The Protoceratops can relax, at least until tomorrow. The dominant female notices that the male is limping slightly. During the evening hunt, he had a close encounter with a particularly aggressive prey animal, receiving a scratch on his hind leg that is now beginning to stiffen. She pauses, allowing him to catch up, her eyes examining the injury with concern that might almost be called compassion. The wound is not serious, should heal within a few days, but any injury is dangerous in the Cretaceous. Infection is common. Wounds that slow a hunter can lead to starvation. The pack's survival depends on all members remaining healthy and capable. She adjusts her pace, slowing slightly to accommodate the male's reduced mobility. This is another aspect of pack behavior, the willingness to moderate individual success for the benefit of the group. A solitary Velociraptor would push on, either leaving the injured member behind or ignoring the injury and risking further damage. But the pack operates differently. The male has contributed to successful hunts. He will contribute to future hunts once he heals. His value to the group extends beyond this single day. The sleeping site comes into view as the last light fades from the sky. Rocky overhangs, narrow crevices, natural shelters carved by ancient winds and waters into shapes that offer protection from both predators and weather. The pack has used these shelters many times before. The scent of their previous visits marks the stones, familiar and reassuring. The dominant female leads the way into the largest overhang, checking for any creatures that might have claimed the shelter during the day. A small reptile, basking on a still warm rock, scurries away at her approach. No larger threats are present. The shelter is safe. She claims her preferred spot, a depression in the rock floor that fits her body comfortably. The male settles nearby, favoring his injured leg, positioning himself where he can rest while still watching for danger. The younger female finds her own spot, slightly apart from the others but still within easy reach. Night falls fully, the darkness profound and enveloping. Stars emerge overhead, unfamiliar constellations wheeling through their ancient courses. The temperature drops rapidly, the desert surrendering the day's accumulated heat to the clear night sky. The Velociraptor's feathers provide insulation, trapping body heat close to their skin, but the cold is still noticeable. They curl tighter, conserving warmth. The night is not entirely still. Creatures that avoided the daylight hours are emerging now, hunting and foraging under the protection of darkness. Sounds carry through the cold air, the scrabble of small feet on rock, the distant call of something unknown, the whisper of wind through stone. The pack maintains its rotating vigilance, each member taking turns at higher alertness, while the others rest more deeply. Predators hunting in darkness would find these velociraptors difficult targets. The shelter conceals their shapes. Their stillness makes them hard to detect, and any creature bold enough to approach would face 3 alert predators, not 1. The dominant female's thoughts, whatever form dinosaur thoughts take, drift between awareness and something like dreaming. Images of the day replay in her mind. The hunt, the kill, the feast, the confrontation, the evening forage. Each experience reinforces neural pathways, strengthening the lessons that keep her alive. She is 3 years old, middle-aged by Velociraptor standards. She has survived longer than most of her species ever manage. She has learned to hunt, to lead, to navigate the complex social dynamics of pack life. She carries the accumulated wisdom of countless successful decisions and the scars of a few unsuccessful ones. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, perhaps another hunt, perhaps another territorial confrontation, perhaps some danger she cannot foresee. The desert is unpredictable, its mood shifting with weather and seasons, its population of creatures constantly changing as some species flourish and others decline. The only certainty is uncertainty. But tonight she rests. Her belly is full, her pack is intact, her territory is secure. For a velociraptor, this is as close to contentment as existence allows. The endless struggle for survival pauses. Briefly, in these dark hours before the next dawn, brings its renewal of challenges and opportunities. The night passes. Stars wheel overhead, tracking the rotation of a planet that will not bear the name Earth for another 75 million years. The cold deepens, then slowly begins to moderate as the eastern horizon starts, almost imperceptibly, to lighten. The dominant female stirs, her internal rhythms responding to cues too subtle for human senses to detect. The angle of starlight, the temperature differential between night and approaching dawn, the sounds of other creatures beginning to move. Her body prepares for the coming day, metabolic processes shifting from rest to readiness. She rises, stretching stiffened muscles, fanning her feathers to trap the first warmth of the day. Her packmates begin to stir around her, the male testing his injured leg, the younger female yawning hugely, displaying rows of small, sharp teeth. A new day begins. The same cycle that has repeated itself countless times before and will repeat countless times again for millions of years, until the world changes in ways no velociraptor can imagine, until the sky burns and the earth shakes and the age of reptiles comes to its sudden, catastrophic end. But that ending is unimaginably far in the future. For now, there is only this moment, this day, this endless cycle of hunting and resting, feeding and sleeping, living and dying. The dominant female emerges from the shelter, her eyes scanning the landscape with the same alert intensity they showed yesterday and will show tomorrow. The hunt begins anew.